Welcome to DentonRadio.com, powered in part by Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us here at Denton Radio. We are coming at you with yet another update from Thin Line Fest. Today is the official start of the festival, so I hope all of you guys are getting to enjoy some awesome documentaries from the comfort of your own home. On the phone with us, we have got a very, very exciting interview that I'm super stoked to bring you guys. Joining us today is April Wright, director of this awesome movie called Going Attractions. How are you?
Great. I wish I could be there in Denton with you guys, but I'm stuck here in LA.
We wish you could as well. It's a bummer,
yeah.
but super excited that we're still getting to enjoy the films online.
Now we're online. Yeah, exactly. It's good.
Yeah. So I got to see the trailer for this documentary, and it's really cool. Not to mention you've got some real heavy hitters, just big personalities and names that were in the documentary with you, which is super cool. But the footage that you've got of some of these amazing theaters is just really incredible, and so I'm so excited to get to see this piece. But give everybody a rundown in your own words what they can expect from Going Attractions.
Yeah, well, the biggest person in it is Leonard Maltin,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everybody knows him, reviewing films and talking about films, but I realized he was also a film historian and that he really knew the history of these places. And like you said, it covers movie palaces that mostly were built in the teens and the 20s, mostly built by the studio system. So they were these huge, ornate, lavish buildings that you could sort of walk into another world and experience a movie.
Yeah.
And so we kind of go from the beginning of cinema when it was invented and it was penny arcades and Nickelodeons, and then it went into these beautiful movie palaces, and then we sort of cover what happened to them over the decades as things shifted.
It's amazing. Well, and just like you said it in the trailer, and I assume it gets brought up quite a lot in the movie, that you just kind of get transformed to a new place when you walk into these theaters that are just so gorgeous.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people, depending how old you are, will probably remember seeing films in places like this. And before the call, we had just talked about a neighborhood movie palace that you have there that's still downtown.
Yeah.
What's the name of that one?
The Campus Theater. So the Campus Theater, it's just about a block from where we are right now, and it so gives you that feeling. It's a community theater, and you can go and see plays and performances now, but back in the day, of course, it was this really incredible movie theater, and everybody always says the same thing. They walk in, and there's just this feeling and this presence, because it's just so well put together and just has this unique aura about it.
Yeah, and that's how most of us grew up, seeing films like that. So it's especially interesting right now that we're in a situation where all the movie theaters have had to close. All the theaters have had to close. And even before that happened, that's kind of what the film was saying, was just, making us realize why these places are important, why community gathering places are important. Because when you see, streaming is everywhere, and, we're surviving on it right now. But the idea of leaving the house and going somewhere is a whole different thing. Because when you're streaming at home, it kind of becomes a blur what you watched today or yesterday or last week. And in fact, we even call it content now. It's content. And, in these movie palaces in particular, the words that we would use to describe it is seeing it on the big screen, or having, movies are a magical experience. And when you go to a place like that in particular, it really implants a memory. And most of us can tell you, oh, I remember seeing Star Wars for the first time in this theater. So it's definitely a different experience that you have with the film, with the cinema, and in terms of the memory that it gives you and the relationship that it gives you to that art.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool. Like I said, I can't speak any higher of the trailer. because it's just so cool looking. And so to know that there's going to be a film of all of that where I'm going to get to enjoy this for
Yeah.
a long period of time, I'm
Well,
super excited.
yeah, and I've been traveling and showing it to audiences, and yeah, exactly. People love the images, and we did get into a lot of really cool theaters like Radio City Music Hall out in New York, which I did not realize was a movie theater for most of its life.
Yeah, I didn't know
So
that
that was
either.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, just the idea that, yeah, you would have places that would have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6,000 seats in the case of Radio City to see movies is just kind of mind blowing. And audiences really have been, like I said, personally connecting with the film and having a very emotional response. And I think it is just because people are thinking about what does this experience mean to me of actually going to a theater and seeing a movie and how that feels. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. Well, and I think now more than ever, we all have a deeper appreciation for having these gathering places where we can come together in groups of people and share life together. I mean, there's a lot of power and it's incredible experience to get to have, and something that you don't quite appreciate fully until you can't do it anymore. And so
Right.
that's why I'm super excited about this film. But what was the starting point? What was the inspiration that made you say, I want to make this film?
Well, I kind of had a movie family growing up. My dad had a camera and some editing
Cool.
equipment, and we had a projector. So I was always aware of kind of the basic process of making films.
Mhm.
And my family would take us to drive-in movie theaters a
Cool.
lot. We had a few that were open where I grew up in Illinois. And then we had a neighborhood movie palace that was called the Dunes, that was right down the street from my house. And my brother and sister ended up working there along the way. So, I just would see a lot of movies. And so when it got to be kind of the late 80s and into the 90s, and a lot of both of these places, drive-ins were just sort of standing abandoned or being torn down. And same thing with a lot of these movie palaces. I was living in downtown Chicago after college, and there were a lot of the big ones that I show in the documentary that were boarded up. And I just wondered, we still love movies.
Yeah.
In the case of drive-ins, we still love movies and cars. So why hadn't they survived? And so I made a documentary came out about 7 years ago about drive-in movie theaters. And then this film was sort of the follow-up to that, to look at the movie palaces. So I'm kind of hooked on this topic.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see it myself. For those watching and listening, you are going to get 2 opportunities to get to see this film. It's going to play, and correct me if I'm wrong, April, tomorrow and Saturday, right?
Yeah, Thursday and Saturday, and I think both of them are at 6 p.m. And then I'm going to join after the screenings. They're setting up Zoom calls for a Q&A with the audience.
Cool.
So I will be there for that virtually.
I'm so excited about that part. Like, guys, this is the coolest thing. I mean, a lot of people were tentative about the live streaming at home and all that kind of stuff. But man, this is such a cool thing to get to chat back and forth with the person that made this film. And so I'm super excited.
And I really think Thin Line is kind of leading the way because
Yeah.
I've been involved with a lot of festivals, and a lot of them are canceled now, and people are wondering, what do we do, and do we reschedule? And a lot of them are looking at how can we create an online experience that still, captures the festival vibe. So
Yeah.
I was really excited that Thin Line already had, a way to do that. So they really are leading the way in doing this, and I think they won't be the first. Other people will follow for sure.
So cool. Well, and I couldn't express how excited I am that they're still going. I know all of us are climbing the walls looking for things to do over the next few days.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's
and the other
exciting.
stuff you can get on Netflix or whatever, you can go back and see that after the weekend. Here you're going to see things that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
My film's not online.
Yeah.
And won't be till, who knows when. So
That's
this
super
is
cool.
one of the only opportunities to see it.
I love it. Well, guys, I think we've teased it enough. We've got the trailer for the doc coming up right here, so stick around. We're going to air it right here in this video. But April, I wanted to say thank you again very much for joining us. Really looking forward to this documentary. I hope everybody goes out and sees it. Thank you again very, very much for
Go
being
to
here
and
with
sees
us.
it from their living room.
Yeah. Well, it goes out. Good point. Leave one bedroom, go into the living room, something. I don't know. Just make it a thing.
Exactly.
Make it a thing.
Make it a thing. Yeah. All
Uber
right.
Eats
Thank you.
a candy bar or something, and let's make it a movie experience. But thank you again, April. We appreciate it, guys. We're gonna kick it to that trailer. Thank you all very much for joining us here at Denton Radio. We're gonna be bringing you all sorts of Thin Line info throughout the rest of the weekend, so stay tuned right here.
Theaters are magic. You go into a theater, and I don't care if it's a small little local one in your hometown or something as grand as Radio City Music Hall. When you're in the music hall and the lights go down, it becomes intimate and fascinating and magical.
So many people identify movies with some of the best times of their lives. They remember their first dates, they remember their first time out with their family, the first time they went to see a movie about being a doctor, being a politician, being an astronaut.
There's something about seeing those stories on screen, and you get a chance to understand other cultures, other experiences, other places.
We may never live those fantasies or those lives of the people we're watching, but we do it vicariously.
You were giving people a complete escape from their ordinary lives. From the moment you walked into the lobby, plush carpeting, gilded relief work on the walls and on the ceilings, magnificent chandeliers, decor from different periods of art and architecture around the globe. This at a time when most people, most Americans, didn't have the opportunity to travel.
They were places where the rich and the poor could rub elbows.
They built these palaces to be the Disney of the day, so that you walk in off the street and you forget all of the troubles and all of the things that you had going on in your life because you're surrounded by this magnificent building.
I remember coming here as a child and just being completely amazed and taken aback by the ornate beauty of the building.
When I first started my job at Theater Historical Society, it was kind of eye-opening for me to learn that the places that I went to see Broadway touring shows or the symphony were actually buildings that were built as movie palaces.
Toward the end of World War I, up through the Depression, which is the early 30s, there was just a boom. That's the only way to describe it, a boom, that led to the building of innumerable movie palaces, not theaters, but palaces, and ones you can visit today and still see and still enjoy a movie in. Seems so incredibly lavish. You wonder how anybody could conceive of them, or why they would build such structures just to go to the movies. As Marcus Lowe, the famous showman and businessman, said, "We don't sell tickets to movies, we sell tickets to theaters."
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.